I'm here with Simon Mulvany.
Yeah.
And I'm Jake Austin, and you run Save the Bees Australia.
Correct.
Yeah. And I'm here to buy some honey, actually, but also chat about bees and, hopefully learn a bit about...
Yeah, I know you did a natural beekeeping course recently. I saw you there briefly.
Yeah.
And then you've done a few bee removals. I've stalked you on Instagram for a bit.
Yeah.
And I like you're also into that healthy side of honey, and you've asked me the right questions when you've come to buy your bulk honey off me, because what we're trying to avoid when we're getting bulk honey is, like, I'd advise people not to go near the GMO stuff like canola.
Okay.
You might ask the beekeeper, have they recently been to the almond pollination? Because a lot of people do that, and there's chemicals associated with the almonds. And then you'd like to know if it's raw or cooked. And like I've just bought this out for a display, but there is an example of raw honey. And so, you want raw. But the other thing, it's interesting, the Asians are really onto it when they ask me about honey. They like forest honey. We want the forest honey. We don't want the stuff that's been sort of on monocrops.
Yeah. Is that what they're hoping from forest honey, diverse flora?
Well, I guess you think of a eucalyptus, they're after the eucalyptus forest honey.
Okay.
And they know, like, how old are those eucalyptus trees sometimes, and where are those nutrients coming up from?
Yeah.
And so for them, they want to taste that pristineness when they taste the honey.
Yeah.
I'm lucky where I live. It's like, if you look at the canopy from afar, it's just totally covered, front beach to back beach. We're in Blackgowrie in Victoria, and I was just telling you, Jake, I don't have to move my hives. They fill up 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And whereas a lot of commercial beekeepers, they'll have to go and chase the flowers.
And it's one thing setting them up at a almond crop, and like you said, they're GMO and probably spraying lots of chemicals and things, but also just the act of moving the bees is detrimental to the hive, right?
Yeah, then like, bees have never been designed to be moved as a creature. It's like you waking up and your whole house has been moved to another town and you don't know where you're going. Like, how traumatic would that be?
Especially interstate. It's a long way.
Well, I think if people want to understand how the pollination industry works, whether it's blueberries or almonds, and this is quite scary to think, they'll go in and they'll use these hardcore insecticides over everything. Quite often they're neonicotinoids, which the plant soaks up, so the plant becomes poison. And their aim is to kill all the pests, but in that they're killing the beneficial insects at the same time. So they don't have honeybees there at that time. But then when the crops start to flower, they'll pay beekeepers to come out. And the reason they're paying beekeepers to come out is because they've killed all the pollinators. And that's our food system. Unless you're going to do small scale localised farming, regenerative farming and permaculture. But I doubt that there's any food at the Woolworths and Coles that are using those methods.
It's exciting to see, like, that there is a path for farmers to take this approach of, like, regenerative farming, like, using less inputs and less chemicals.
And it is, because I've seen you've done a trip around Australia and you're meeting these farmers. And off camera we were talking about, the real benefits really now seem to be going direct to the consumer. Yeah.
And you have a real reason to, when you're producing a high quality product, putting in not necessarily extra hours, but you taking an extra level of care and understanding to what you're doing.
Well, like today you got a 24 kilo bucket of honey off me. That's a lot cheaper than the crap at the supermarket. And there's a lot of crap at the supermarket. The ABC came out with a big story last weekend. It's hard to compete with some of the news at the moment, but that there's fake honey again at the supermarket. And that happened 10 years earlier or 6 years earlier. And they said they were going to clean it up, but they never cleaned it up, obviously.
It's always been there.
And then, but last time they named the companies and the brands. This year they've ignored it.
Who did they name last time?
They named. I've got to be careful about this
Okay.
because I'm getting sued. No, but I'll say Bramwell's was one of the brands that got caught up in the mess. Okay. That's Aldi's honey.
Yep.
And then it was formerly, I'll say this the right way, the laboratories that tested the honey that said it wasn't honey said that Capilano, Hive and Wellness were also had a couple of brands that didn't pass the test. The lab said that.
That's
I'm
what
not
they said,
saying that, but the lab said that.
And they come under multiple different brand names. So it's all the more reason to just like connect with your farmer or beekeeper and like learn about where your food's coming from. And
well, you've got that ability now, and I'm trying to do it with honey, and I've also got a honey map which I created. That was like 8 years ago or something, where you put your postcode in. And then it tells you 3 closest beekeepers, and so
nice.
That they also there's anecdotal evidence that if you're having honey from the same area, you're not going to get allergies.
Yep, and that's from the pollen in the honey.
They say it's from the pollen in the honey.
Yep.
And the one thing that makes that sound plausible to me is I know a lot of vets try to buy local honey. And if they think it's working with animals, it's very likely it'll work with people.
Do you have a sort of standard for people that you bring onto the honey map?
I didn't in the past.
Yep.
And like it will be interesting how it goes, because I sent out, it's free. I've always wanted it to be free, but now Varroa's here. It's if people are using harsh chemicals on their bees, it might be dangerous for consumers. And I've gone to the government-run meetings on this Varroa issue, and I've gone to the Natural Beekeeping Conference. Completely different messaging.
Yeah.
But one thing I'll agree with is these harsh chemicals can taint the honey, and maybe I'm going to have to audit people on the honey map a little bit in regards to making them sign a stat dec.
Yep.
And the other thing, a campaign I've been running this year is no antibiotics in honey.
Yep.
And then a lot of commercial beekeepers are using antibiotics rather than checking on their bees. They're assuming that they've got a disease, and they'll just put powder on top of the bees, and it's rife.
Damn. Yeah, it's a similar thing you see in healthcare. Like, obviously antibiotics have like huge value, but when you're just using them willy-nilly, like it's that's when you get problems. Like,
well, the problem is that with your health, if you get cancer later in your life or something, and you've been having hidden antibiotics in your food, the antibiotics won't work when you really need it.
Yeah, because it's a great modern technology, and we all deserve access to it. But if like you say, we're microdosing antibiotics, because that's the real motive behind antibiotic-free honey. Like,
yeah, well,
developing resistance.
Yeah, that's probably the main thing. It's not good for the bees either.
Sure. Yeah,
it masks the disease. It doesn't cure the disease. So as soon as you stop giving it the antibiotics, they'll flare up and start spreading that disease everywhere. The disease that they spread is called American foul brood, and it wipes businesses out. Like, it's so contagious. Interesting for me, because I've always been warned that you'll get AFB. And I have a different style of beekeeping where I try not to check them too often. I think that the less you muck around with them, the better they go. And I've never had it. I've had clients had it in another town. They all went down in Red Hill the other year, but I just find if you keep your hive stationary, you probably notice if you look at this lid, they won't be able to see it there, but I keep the propolis on, and bees stay healthy that way. If
the treatments aren't working, why are they using them?
If they hide the symptoms, so several reasons. You can keep them going if you keep on dosing constantly. So it's a never-ending cycle of dosing with antibiotics. And then the other thing is, if you go take your bees to a pollination job, like blueberries or the almonds, and you've got that disease, you can get a massive fine and you won't get paid.
So they just don't want the risk.
No. Well, and the other thing, they aren't contagious while they're on the antibiotics. It's only when they come off the antibiotics. So one beekeeper, he argued to me, he goes, well, we're actually stopping people from getting this foul brood by using antibiotics. And look, it's a tricky one because it's bloody hard out there for beekeepers to make a living, and a lot of them don't even want to do the pollination of the almonds, but they have to because the honey price is down. And like the honey price hasn't gone up for, nearly a decade. It's actually gone down, and we've got the highest quality in the world of honey in the world. And I think the big packers are paying less than $4 a kilo for it.
Do you think it could be a good time to invest in Australian honey, given Varroa?
If it depends on the messaging, and I had an ABC guy do an interview the other month with me, and about 15 minutes in, I realised it was going to be a hit piece on me. And he was like, so I had to suddenly be a bit sharper with how I answered the questions, but I videoed him interviewing me before and released it before they got their story out there. But they were very concerned about me mentioning antibiotics in honey. And they were saying, well, beekeepers need it, you're damaging the industry by having this out there. And I'd also been speaking to two other really large commercial beekeepers, and they're like, we're antibiotic free, we're going to be pushing that in the years to come. And they're like, we had this agreement to push it together. At the moment, I'm the only one pushing it, and I'm actually copping a little bit of grief from some of the big players in the industry for my stance on telling people to ask for antibiotic-free honey.
How are they getting away without using antibiotics? Like, what
The
are they
two
doing
big
differently?
ones.
Yeah.
Well, this is like one of the people is from overseas. He's come from overseas where antibiotics are banned. He said, in the end, he said you have to be ruthless. If the bee's got a disease, you just have to knock it off. And he's saying how important genetics are. Secondly, he said that you've got to check them thoroughly to see which ones have got the diseases. And he said it's lazy. Australians have become lazy and just got used to using the antibiotics. But then he's also got a team of, those visas from overseas, 427 visas, whatever they are. He's got a lot of Filipino workers. And so if you're running a huge apiary, you need the staff to avoid the antibiotics is another element to it.
That makes sense. And the cutthroat approach you see in like cattle farming and or regen cattle farming and sheep farming, because if you can promote those good genetics, you can have a really low input system where you don't have to drench or vaccinate or keep up these like expensive costs and labour, and you don't have to cover your animals in synthetic like chemicals and affect the quality of the product you're producing. But is there a place for antibiotics full stop, or?
No, there's not.
Really.
Like in Australia, I don't think there is. I think you'll see. I think when I did the deep dive recently, and it was Argentina and China allowed it, but I think America's starting to stop it, Europe's starting to stop it, and and the bigger companies that have reached out to me saying are telling me that it's just terrible for human health in the long term. So they think there'll be a lot more information coming out in the next few years about why we shouldn't be having hidden antibiotics in our food. Anything premium, you deserve a higher price. So if your honey is antibiotic free, you should get a higher price. And if your honey's raw, you should get a higher price. And if it's from a forest nectar source, you should get So Australians, hopefully they start to get an understanding of the high quality honey, and that the supermarket honey is completely different.
Well, it's good to have a mainstream media talking about that at least.
Well, they're chatting about it. I was disappointed with the ABC for not naming the brands, and there's an organisation called the Australian Honey Board Industry Council, and they help do the testing, and they are funded by the importers.
Oh, really?
So they didn't want to name the brands either. But I did a semi-viral video, I guess, on the brands that got caught last time, and there's been a lot of my content calling out, the imported honey, and how to avoid it. Yeah.
Do you have maybe for the viewers a checklist of questions they could ask their local beekeeper to make sure they are getting the best quality honey? Obviously, antibiotics, and you mentioned almonds as well.
Well, you could say that. You could say you're a migratory beekeeper. Where's your nectar source from?
Yep.
Is the honey raw? Are you the beekeeper yourself? You could say, are you sure that there's no antibiotics in this honey? Does it go anywhere near the GMO crops like canola? And then, almonds is probably in a similar situation to that. But some people who do go to the almonds, it's the same. They've got that protocol that they'll make sure the honey supers that they've had on the almonds aren't on when they move from the almonds to the forest or something.
Okay. I think that's helpful. So what is this we have here? Like, where is this from? What have they been foraging on?
Yeah, you can probably see there's a few hives outside. Some commercial beekeepers, when they see this, would say to me, you missed a box of honey. And I probably have missed a box of honey because, it's hard to get to all my hives at the same time. So this was one of the last ones I checked. But most people think honey in the lid is an annoying thing because it sticks to the frames and it's a bit messy. I wanted to show people this because a blind monk actually came up with the concept of keeping bees in a Langstroth hive with frames, and he wasn't born blind and he loved beekeeping, and it was, imagine that, it was an absolute curse going blind, but he started to feel things and he worked out, and if you can see there, it's probably a bit of a distance, but there's a maze in here, and every lid, you could argue it's like a fingerprint, is got a different sort of a maze. And that's called the bee space, and it's 6 to 8 mil, or we just say 7 mil, and so that's now how we've designed the beehives, have 7 mil between, and that's why they'll build on the frame. But if this is like a natural pattern, and the other thing is, what I'll do, if I do take honey from a hive, I'm like, it's like giving blood in a way. It's like you don't want to take too much out. So 90% of the time I'll just leave the honey in there and put the lid back on, take a few frames. The other option is, for beekeepers, is people think it has to be expensive to be a beehive, but you could literally have a box in your backyard, let the honey move into the lid, just take the lid and extract from the lid. And you're pretty strong and you can guess, but I reckon there's 7 kilos of honey in there.
Yeah, wow, nice. So would this have prompted them to swarm?
This is a great question because people don't know the life cycle of bees generally, and people are like, swarming's bad. Swarming is actually good. Without swarming, we'd have no survival at all. And it would prompt swarming because the whole concept of the beehive is to fill absolutely every part of the beehive up, so there's no space at all. And with no space at all, it's like a body, it stays warm. And then if the old queen or the I guess the mother of the hive thinks she's done enough, then she'll move and swarm. So some people think one way of doing swarm management is by sort of keeping their bees a bit starved the whole time, never letting them completely fill. But I find, with the honey flow that I get here, like the tea tree honey flow, there's no way of stopping them sometimes. And then even if you'll go in, and a lot of beekeepers are told to perform an abortion on the hive, where they'll go in and squash all the queen cells.
Oh, yeah.
And by doing that...
Stop them from swarming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people probably be offended by me calling it abortion, but that's probably what it is. But you could eat the royal jelly with the queen cells, and squash that out. But what I've noticed even a few times when I've done that is they'll just build more swarm cells immediately. So for me, my swarm management tends to be catching the swarms.
Yeah. And that.
But I live with my hive, so it's easy to do.
Sure.
If your bees are in the forest, in a native forest somewhere, that can be quite risky, because if they swarm, they can go into a hollow of a tree and then affect the nest of a lorikeet or something, or a sugar glider. So I don't know if you're up with those types of arguments, but there's a lot of people now who say honeybees shouldn't be allowed in national parks.
Oh, really?
For that reason. And I don't know,
That's just nature, isn't it?
Well, there's a bit of an argument that they're from Europe and they can affect our native animals, and so it's a debate, and it's a tricky one, because at the moment Victoria have closed a lot of national parks to beekeepers, and then that's going to affect the almond industry, and then that affects consumers' opportunity to get raw forest honey.
Aren't the bees already in there, like wild colonies, or are they?
Yeah, there should be wild colonies everywhere. The only hope that they have of wiping out honeybees is Varroa, and in New South Wales, it did a really good job of doing that in New South Wales.
Yeah, I've heard some.
And we've got a friend,
wiped out,
Sasha, she's gone around and documented all the natural hives around Byron, and she said that they're all gone.
Yeah.
But then there's another girl I know, Ayla, and she has a little business, and all her bees died. All Emily's bees died when they were living together. And recently she was just making some honey products, and a swarm just moved in. So it mustn't have killed every swarm.
Right.
And I'm like, God, that one could have the genetics. So
sure.
It's very in Cuba and Africa.
Yep.
They've got a really good honey industry, organic honey industry, because they couldn't afford chemicals to treat their bees with. And so it'd be good if we could follow their lead.
Yeah, I've heard you speak about Cuba, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because Australia, Varroa is new to Australia, we can kind of look at the countries where Varroa has moved through and learn from them based on how they've managed it and what's happened. So Cuba, they couldn't afford miticides and other harsh chemicals. Maybe they were using some natural treatments?
No, it wasn't. There's two levels to it.
Yep.
One is their collapse was so hardcore that there was no host to hold the Varroa. So they nearly completely dropped in numbers.
It's like 95%.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then they bred off that stock that survived.
Yeah.
So,
and now that the populations have surpassed what they were before.
They're one of the biggest world's exporters of organic honey.
And they've never had to use the miticides or anything. And so what happens? Sorry, how does that compare to somewhere where they have used miticides? And
America last year, they're saying they had 70% die-offs, winter die-offs. So that's, some people even say it was higher than that.
Yep.
And that's because the official report was the Varroa can out-survive the miticides now. So they're blaming it on having super Varroa. And I would argue that it's probably not super Varroa, it's also pesticides as well that they're being subjected to that weaken the bee's immune system. But the pharmaceutical industry love blaming everything on Varroa because it's, you know, a physical mite. But a lot of the times it's probably just the chemical.
So is that a 70% colony collapse because of Varroa, or because they couldn't survive winter because of what you're saying, the treatments and all that?
Well, so the miticides that they're using, the bees have become immune to.
Yeah.
So they've got resistance because they've been
Yep.
using them for so many years.
And then they need to use a stronger one.
And
Yeah.
and then they haven't got a stronger one now.
Mm.
And then you've got to also have the issue with contamination for human consumption.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people think like bees going to disappear and stuff, but bees are actually quite easy, honeybees, to breed up. So you could split a hive around here like 5 or 6 times, and then you can turn one into 6. And so that's why, you know, people like, you know, bees die, we die type mentality. Well, they are collapsing, but they're getting bred up sort of just as quick. But in Australia, like, you know, you're rational, so, and you're young, and you're just like, oh yeah, we'll just do what Cuba does then. That's going to be better off in the long term. But the problem for Australia, if we do that, is we have a big collapse. There won't be food for a year or two. And then, so what are we going to do in that year or two that we've got no food at all? I guess we all import it anyway. But how are people going to maintain their living and their livelihoods? It's actually a pretty sophisticated situation. And then I just know, talking to people at beekeeping clubs, and I'm saying, they're like, I'm not going to treat, I'm not going to use chemicals. And then they're like, well, your bees are going to die. I go, well, your bees will probably die too. And they go, well, at least I'm going to try to keep mine alive. You're just giving up. And they haven't studied this in the nuance of what's happening in Cuba and Africa and how important it is to rush into this genetic diversity. And there are people in New South Wales already telling me that they've got those genetic diverse bees. So we're in Victoria, a long way away from New South Wales, but when they start collapsing here, or after the wild colonies have been knocked out here, I'll go to New South Wales and try to get some of the genetics from there. But I have to be realistic. I'm expecting to be out of business for 1 or 2 years. You know, a friend, Emily, was here recently. She goes, I thought I was going to be immune. I thought I was far away. And within 2 weeks, not only all her 10, 20 hives had been dead, but all her neighbours and everyone in that area near Ballagins, bees just went.
Yeah, it's hectic. It's cutthroat. But I suppose that's how nature is. And I mean, it's quite obvious that we're not going to take an approach like Cuba did in Australia. It's just never going to happen. But it might be a balance of the two. And would you say it is still important to have like natural beekeepers not treating because they will be the ones that promote those, those genetics?
No. Like the argument from the commercial industry to me is, if you tell people, natural beekeepers, not to treat, they'll get such big mite numbers, they'll infect everyone else. It's like the vaccination argument.
Right.
And then, I'm like, well, actually, their bees will collapse and be dead, and then they won't be doing, they won't be mite bombs at all because they'll be dead. So it's going to be interesting. A lot of people, like when you go to the government-run information nights on Varroa, they're all like, you've got to use chemicals, and they actually give you a chemical handbook. And then it's quite corrupt. I think you've got to buy the chemicals through this monopolised company, and them obviously making, they're actually trying to mandate the use of certain chemicals when there's natural chemicals that can keep your bees alive too.
Yep.
And the obvious one's oxalic acid.
Okay, yeah, I've heard this get thrown around. Do you support the use of that?
Yeah, I support the use of it, but like the hardcore people would say you shouldn't use that either.
Yep.
And yeah, that will be. That just means I'll have to check the bees, another few extra times, which, it's a heap more of a workload. Particularly where the way I keep bees, they're all scattered around the peninsula in different people's yards.
Yep.
Whereas other people will have a row of 40 or 100 hives right next to each other. And so, yeah, doing it using oxalic acid if the bees are right next to each other is easy, but if you have to go to different yards and use it, it's going to be a lot harder. And then my friends Anna and Sven, they're from Europe, and they have got this machine where you heat the brood 2 degrees hotter than it's used to, and it will kill the Varroa. So,
what does it do to the bees? And the
well,
brood?
it's changing temperature on anything's a bit tricky. I don't know what it actually does. The colony, people are having success with it at the moment.
Yep.
But it's very labour intensive too, to have to pull the frames out, leave them in somewhere for 5 minutes and then put them back in.
Is there some mechanical treatment,
What is it? The mechanical...
that we can opt for instead of...
Yeah, there is. Because the...
swarming creates a brood break, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to stop the reproduction of mites.
Yeah, that's correct. I did a post on that, and there was a lot of controversy associated with me telling people let their bees swarm.
Really?
Because of that issue, that they could go to the neighbour's house, they could invade a hollow of a tree. The establishment don't like swarming, but if they understood biology, they'd realise it's the most crucial part of beekeeping, because if you allow the queen to breed with the best hosts, you're going to get that genetic diversity a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But there's a mechanical way, because the mites tend to live under the drone brood, and the drone brood's different to the female brood, and so you can get a frame with larger hexagons, and you can put it in, and they'll choose to put all the drones in that frame, and then you just take that frame out, and then you're lowering the drone numbers where the Varroa can breed up.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for the chat. We kind of hit a bunch of different topics. All in the realm of bees, of course, but beekeeping and choosing good honey.
Yeah, well, another thing, like, I know you're into your health.
Yep.
I'm just going to get something and let you try something.
Okay, cool.
Because technically, honey is a carbohydrate. And...
Oh, so this definitely is sugar, right?
Yeah, but this is a protein, and then... I don't know if you want to put it close to the camera.
Yep.
This is actually the drone brood, and we are required now, and show underneath it too, because you'll see there's a creamy substance the drones have been eating.
Dirty fingernails. Creamy substance.
Yeah, well, I've frozen that, so it's probably frozen cream at the moment, but it's white. So there's a lot of royal jelly within the drone brood.
Yep.
But you're eating an insect larvae, and what's interesting is when bears and honey badgers want to consume a beehive, they don't go near the honey. They'll only eat this stuff because they know how valuable it is. And you get something like the honey badger will do anything to get at this stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know how hot, cold my freezer's been, but some people have Swiss vitamins or whatever they have in their morning. I just, crack a few of these out like a tablet.
That's a pupae?
A pupae.
But there's also, where's the royal jelly? There's royal jelly
within it.
But
they consume the royal jelly. But here's some royal jelly under it that it must be feeding on.
Right. So royal jelly gets packed in, the eggs laid, and then they just feed off that as they grow. Oh my gosh, it's melting. So
So
multiple.
go multiple. We should. I've got a good drink to wash it down with. Should we crack this?
If you're open.
Thank you, Sasha.
Yes, exactly. This is from up Northern Rivers Way. Honey water. Is it alcoholic?
Wait,
it should be.
We have to ask her that because she hasn't put it on the label.
No, I believe it's. The longer it sits, if it's in the right conditions, it will ferment and become more alcoholic.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
But yeah, really cool product, this one. Are you having some with me?
I have it all the time, but I will.
You've had your supplement today, yeah?
I'll let you you decide what it tastes like.
I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah, wait, I'll come and watch. Sorry, I can't find a bottle opener. I will use... Yeah, I'll have some with you.
Oh.
But it's very easy to do, but this is very hard to come by. Like maybe people will eat it more now that we have Varroa here because you sacrifice the drones.
So this is an example of what you're just talking about, that mechanical intervention with the drone.
Yeah.
Drone brood.
So yeah, I'll be harvesting this and then let us go for it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Maybe use that to crack this.
Oh wow.
It's
nothing crazy. I feel like maybe freezing it helps.
It does.
I feel like that could be more intense.
No, it's a real when you do it.
Yeah.
And you don't freeze it.
Yeah. That's intense. Yeah.
It ends up.
You could do it on the table. Oh, you check the table.
Oh no, old table. Do it on the table. It might crack up like champagne. Oh, there you go. You want to drink from the bottle?
I've done that with too many beer bottles. Pull it up. Yeah, wow.
It's a beautiful colour, isn't it?
So this is the sweet version.
Sorry,
I think they have a light version
champagne
as well.
glass.
How say when?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'll tell you what other friends have said it tastes like. They think it tastes like sperm, and
I'm not familiar.
I'm not familiar either. Yeah. And but no, that's what it is. That's why it's so nutritious. It is actually the bees' start of their lives, and
sure.
There's all sorts of amazing benefits to drone brood, but you have to freeze it. It's a protein.
So is that what the benefits are? Just like dense protein, lots of amino acids and things?
No, I went down a rabbit hole with it the other day, and what can you believe online these days? Yeah. But they said that someone sent me a meme, and it said that the Rockefellers banned it because it was so healthy and it had like cancer healing properties, but there is a chemical in it that only you can find in the beehive, and it's HDMA or something. And that's meant to be the amino acid that's, regenerative. So it's actually meant to be, stop dementia and brain power.
Yeah, I hear people talk about it for fertility and various.
My friend Emily uses it. She's been using all my drone brood this season with some of her products, Nectar of the Goddess, and she's got all these customers that are saying they couldn't get pregnant, tried IVF, tried everything, and now they've been having this combination, and they're getting pregnant.
Wow, that's a huge story.
This is doesn't taste alcoholic at this point.
No. Almost like apple cider vinegar, but nicer, sweeter.
I'm actually, because I don't know if they've done anything to this other than add honey and water, but
I think that's it. Yeah.
How come it's sparkling then?
Yeah, well, because the sugars are fermenting.
Oh, really? Because,
there must be some alcohol.
I've done this without, accidentally, I'll just leave my honey in water, and then I just think I may as well drink a little bit of it. But this is, a great idea. And sometimes you don't want to drink alcohol.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I like it.
Yeah. Well, traditionally, I believe mead takes years. I've heard like 7 years
to make get a
like,
good alcohol.
Yeah. And it's like strong, like a
high
alcohol percentage.
Traditional alcohols. It's only, I saw something on Joe Rogan and alcohol. A guy made whiskey or something. It was a long time before we could make spirits. So I had this whole image that in the early 30s and 40s, everyone would have been getting drunk. But I don't think they would have had to be drinking a lot to get drunk, because it would have been similar to beer or something, not like the spirits we have today.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no,
that's delicious.
Anyway, that's great. And thanks for coming. And like you're looking fit and healthy. I've followed you a bit on Instagram, and so I've seen that you've got connections to getting beef. You've got connections to getting
good
raw milk.
Yeah.
You'll be able to get some of this stuff.
Yeah. There's something about knowing where your food comes from that makes it so much. I feel like that gives it another element of like health, like health-giving properties. Just like knowing how it was produced and where it's coming from, and then you kind of consuming it with that, just with that sort of faith in the product, and you don't have to worry about it being like full of these poisons that unfortunately we see in a lot of like supermarket food.
So are you carnivore or no?
No, I'm just. You've heard of the term animal-based, like this sort of diet philosophy that Paul Saladino coined. I guess I'm sort of animal-based. A lot of animal foods, so a lot of meat and milk, honey. I love honey, and lots of fruit. That's kind of my main.
Oh, good one. Just avoiding the processed stuff.
Yeah, and a little bit of vegetables, but I'm not crazy on the veggies. Also, nose to tail is great. Like getting some organs in. And that's about me.
Oh yeah, good one. Like another good one is bee pollen, and
right.
Yeah, we've been chatting a bit about that. Sorry.
What was that?
I don't know. Well, that was something in here, I think.
Oh.
Bee pollen's another product. So we'll chat more about that.
Yep. Awesome.
See you.
Thanks, Simon.
Cheers.